Hello and welcome to the interview series. I am Somaiya and today we have our esteemed head of Department of Anatomy and also a passionate singer of Somaiya Medical College. He has the experience of not less than 30 years in the field of anatomy and literally has the map of the human body in the back of his palm. Please welcome Dr. Sawant, sir. Sir, anatomy is a subject which dates back to ancient Egyptians, to Leonardo da Vinci, and has evolved to and formed the modern day basis of all surgeries in every possible field. So I want to ask you that what was your first inspiration when you took up anatomy as a subject for your profession?
At our times, it was very easy to get the admission for the postgraduate courses because the admissions were done on the basis of third year marks, and I was having little bit inclination and love towards teaching anatomy, and that's main reason that leads me to take this anatomy as my career or profession.
So is there any particular past memory which has influenced you all these years during medical school or college?
No, during college hours, we can say for last 30 years, what I have seen, the most pleasurous and most loving memory which we come across is the students' smiling faces. That really gives us motivation to remain in this profession, though it's a dry subject, but still the satisfaction we get through that when the students they become happy, and that is the, you can say, memory also, because basically they keeps us younger, because when we are in the students we feel we don't really get idea about our own age. So the students which get admitted in our this thing subjects or in our course, they are just 17 or 18 year old. So to deal with such teenagers is to come down to their age levels, and we also feel younger. So it's really means joyful. There is no one specific memory. There are lots of memories to share. But what we feel is the smiling faces of the students, because ultimately we are there to satisfy them and to ultimately get ourselves satisfied through our whatever we are giving to them.
So when you were learning anatomy, what difficulties did you face when you were?
See, our time, though we were in government medical college, but there was no proper personal attention was given to the students. But nowadays, what I have seen, the students, they are considered just like the own children. So teachers, they are more giving personal attention to the students, and teachers, they are having their entire family background in their records, and they knows the entire performance of the students. In our days, the teachers, as there was so many teachers, but they never used to bother about the students' performance, their career. So this change I have seen for over this 30 years of my career tenure. The teachers are more concerned now for the development, for the betterment of the students. As the teachers are also young, so they are more concerned, worried about the progress of the student.
So according to you, how has anatomy as a subject evolved from that time when you were studying it to now?
See, there are so many changes which I have seen over this period. Basically, first there was just the study exam approach, exam oriented, but now it is not so, because university, in our time, university was not that friendly. We used to have only 40% result or 30% result, so there was a huge batch of failure students. But nowadays, as the university is student friendly, so therefore students are not really bothered about the result. They have to study not from exam point of view, but they have to study from other and aspects also. Means they can study now anatomy from knowledge gain point of view also, and really that matters, because when you will study from exam point of view, you are bound to forget that. But if you study from understanding purpose, from the knowledge purpose, then definitely you will try to apply. You will try to memorize that knowledge when you will go in second year or in third year. But if you will study only from exam point of view, I'm definitely sure that I'm confident you will forget that immediately after the exam. That is positive, this thing happening as far as the changes are concerned and the study part is concerned.
So talking about universities, I think it's the most dreaded exam for in medical students in the first year. So is the sole purpose of the university marks in while studying any subject or like in anatomy also?
As this in anatomy, very difficult to score the marks, and nowadays as the university is student friendly, so therefore, and the teachers are young, from the young generation, they are all up to 50-year-old, so their marking style, and that is one criteria, and second criteria that university is student friendly, therefore in anatomy also students are getting good marks. Doesn't really matters how many marks students are getting, and that will not definitely prove the caliber of the students, because marks whatever students are getting, they are contributed, there are certain contributory factors. One is the university, of course, and second is the teachers also. That marks, no, that is not the real criteria, but definitely whatever the students are studying should be from the knowledge point of view, from the application point of view, then that will matter, because ultimately all these curriculum, they are designed for the purpose that it should be applied by the student in their future practice. So they should apply it and not to get the marks, because as such they are going to get good marks in university exams. So really that marks part is not bother.
So you've always promoted and propagated research in students and encourage them to do research.
Yeah, because research is the integral part, because every student must
Yes.
go in this field, and whatever, see, we have seen in anatomy that it is a dry subject, and there is nothing much to be done in that subject. So that was going on since years, but what I have seen in last few years, there are so many things to be done in anatomy, and by doing some research we can do a lot, we can add to a lot. There is enough space which can be filled with doing this research work. And see, previously we used to get unclaimed cadavers, and unclaimed cadavers, they were just the roadside cadavers. In those cadavers, though we never used to found any variations. But nowadays in our medical college, Somaiya Medical College, all cadavers whatever we are getting for the dissection purpose, they are all donated cadavers. And in donated cadavers there are so many variations: arterial variations, muscular variations, neurological variations. So all those variations which routinely we come across during dissection. So if the students, while doing the routine dissection, if they catch such variations, and after getting that variation and the enough documentation in the form of photographs, if they will review some literature part, they will find some related already published paper on that particular this thing, and if they will add on to it and publish the paper, definitely it will make the subject more interesting, and it will give them a more weightage, and definitely they will be in the field of research in the beginning of their career. Because first year it is very difficult to go in the field of the research, because they are not yet adopted to the medical education. So if they will begin their career, then definitely in second year, in third year, they will do a lot in the research. I am of the opinion that the student must start, or they must think of from this research point of view when they are in the dissection hall, or while they are studying the normal anatomy.
So when we first came to medical college, anatomy was one of the first subjects we were introduced to, and we were all very anxious. I think I speak for all of the first years in the past memory. But when we were introduced to you, sir, and the department, we were all very comfortable, and that anxiety just vanished.
So what we did in the anatomy, we have maintained the whatever university guidelines are there and what the university are doing. University is student friendly. That same motto we have applied in our department, and we are also student friendly. And that student friendly atmosphere for the students that made them to study or to move there freely in the department. And what I have seen with this student friendly atmosphere, the students, they are not running away from our department. They are in our department throughout from 9 to or whatever 8:30 to 4 o'clock. And I have seen there is only few students or there is no students who are bunking the dissection, because they are getting free atmosphere. So we are allowing them to do the dissection freely and as per their wish. So we are not shouting at them. We are allowing them to do whatever they want for the betterment of their study. It's my really luck to say here that my all teachers, they are student friendly and they are giving the special attention and even the personal attention to all students. So everyone is getting personal attention and we are treating them as if they are our old children. So naturally they feel like coming in anatomy department, and we feel that they should come to anatomy department with a smiling face, and while leaving also they should have a smiling face. So we will not shout at them, because in their hand the future of our medical this thing will be there. So when we shout at one particular student, then while going at, if he will go at home and while studying the anatomy, he will remember that part and he may not like that subject, he will not open that book. So therefore we are not shouting at them, so that they will have urge or they will have love to learn the subject. So that is the main basic this thing behind our student friendly atmosphere, and we have got the result for that. We have seen the number of distinctions are increased and the performance of the students is also increased, and we have seen their participation in so many college activities, cultural activities, even the research activities, they have increased because of this attitude or because of this atmosphere.
As a student, when we start reading the subject of anatomy, when we open the textbook, what is the best approach to take towards the subject while learning anatomy?
See, basically, first, what I feel, if we will go region-wise, suppose you are studying the superior extremity, first one should study the demonstrations point. Whatever taught in demonstration, the beginners or the learners must begin with those topics which are taught in the demonstrations. Like whatever osteology part was taught in the demonstration, whatever gross anatomy part was taught in the demonstration, that student must read first, and then he should read the lectures, whatever taught in the lectures of gross anatomy, and after that he should start with the general anatomy, then with the histology, then with the embryology, and then the genetics. So this is how you must begin, because if he will begin with genetics, then he will be nowhere. If he will begin his study with histology, again he will be lost somewhere. So first you must that beginners or the learners must start with the demonstration topics. He must command on those topics, and then he should switch over to lecture topics, and accordingly, definitely if you follow this, then he will get command on the topic.
In anatomy, dissection time takes up a lot of time of the day, and but how exactly should a student use this time effectively and judiciously so that they can learn the subject properly? And often students just read the textbook during the dissection time, but what is the purpose of the dissection, and how can we use this time so effectively that the subject just sits and we learn it straight away?
Basically, dissection is the basis of everything, basis of the medical science. In dissection, students are getting opportunity, because those who are going to develop their career into surgeries, surgical professions, for them dissection is the basics. In the dissection hall, ideally, if a group of 12 students are on one particular table, then they must divide themselves into group of 4. 4 students should dissect, remaining 4 students, they should read the dissection part from the dissector manual, and the last 4 students, they should read the theory part of that particular topic, and those who are dissecting, to them those 8 students should guide, and then this should be done rotation wise. Next time the next 4 should be dissecting the next topic and others should be helping for them. So if they will divide themselves like this, then they will have a thorough knowledge of the subject, because see, there should be some guiding people, those students who are dissecting, because they need the theory, because theory part, because in beginning of the dissection, every day the batch teacher will give you just the outline of the dissection part, but you have to read the each and every step from the dissector manual, and that should be done by some students, and the theory part which is given in our textbooks, that should be read from the textbook for those remaining 8 students. So this is how they should divide it, and we know, see, this dissection here, the you can say main this thing idea behind this dissection part is, we are not creating harm to anyone. We are not giving pain or harm, or there is no complication. So this is the best learning method. Though this is a redless thing, there is no red color here in dissection hall. Because in operation theatre, when the same person will be dealing on the living individual, blood will be there. This is bloodless. So there is no fear, or there will be no anxiety, or nothing to worry here. So this dissection is entirely purely is a learning tool. So student must utilize it, and the idea behind keeping so many hours for dissection is, each and every student must take active part in the dissection. That is the idea. Therefore, more hours are given for the dissection. And we have seen students see actually if the topic is small, then after completing the topic, the students will go to other table. They will discuss the same topic with the other students, and they will move around. So that will make noise. That doesn't mean that they are not dissected. Though this appears the longer duration or the more hours are given to the dissection part, but it is required and it is mandatory. We should have that hours for the dissection.
So, what are the common mistakes that students make while learning the subject?
Basically, in the dissection hall, while reflecting the skin, every student must keep in mind that skin reflection is just to see the underlying structures. So you have to only reflect the skin to see the underlying structure. So your incision, it should not be deeper, it should be superficial one. And if you will go deep, then definitely you will cut the important structures which are lying there. So once you will cut those structures, then that beauty will be lost. The purpose is just to reflect the skin, so that only purpose should be served by taking the incision. And there the students make the mistakes. They go deep unnecessarily. It is not their mistake, because they have not done previously. Therefore, they go deep, and there they cut the important structures, and so many things they will not then see on their this thing table. For that, they have to go to other table to see those intact structures. So they should do the dissection meticulously, and as per the guidelines which are given, or the steps which are given in the manual. They should of course take the help of their batch teachers to do the dissection part.
So, for a student, how do you advise them to overcome this fear of failure, or how do you advise them to deal with failure in suppose not scoring good marks in a subject? As a teacher, how would you advise them?
Anatomy, once the fear develops, then it is very difficult to come out through that, because in anatomy there are so many terms, and even after reading all those terminology, you are bound to forget your friend's name, your relative's name, because these terms very difficult to remember. So students who are not doing or performing well in the subject, they should first read the important topics, and they should get used to those important topics, and in addition they should learn those topics which are having so many short notes in those topics. So when they will read one particular topic, they will able to write on or able to answer on 4-5 short notes. So there are certain topics which are multi-purpose topics. So those topics they can use it in other short notes. So those they should read, and in addition they should not omit the radiology part, the living anatomy part, embryology part, then the histology part, because whenever they get chance, suppose the question is asked on stomach, and if they have not done or read the relations of the stomach properly, but in radiology, if they knows the barium meal, so they should write the barium meal there to support their answer. Then they should write from histology the histological structure of the fundus of the stomach, the pyloric end of the stomach. So that knowledge they can apply there, so that answer they should make a complete one. They should accordingly improve it by adding these other topics in that.
So, lastly, would you like to share some words of wisdom with our viewers?
I would like to advise to the new generation is anatomy. Don't think it is a dry subject. It is very much interesting and enthusiasm fulfilled subject. You should take up this branch, and there are lots of things to be done in this profession, because see, if one question was asked to me was more time was given for dissection, so there we have opportunity to record the dissection, and that recordings we can project, and it will help to the students for doing the dissections. And with that recordings, with that video we will have a running commentary, and the actual steps, proper steps which are given in our dissection manual, so that that dissection part will be more interesting. And after that video play, we can have a music, all the songs. First we will begin the day with the prayer, but that music will be in the dissection hall throughout that 3-4 hours time, so that the students will be with that music. They will love to dissect with the new songs, means whichever songs are there, Hindi songs or any language songs which are good songs, so they can enjoy also with the dissection, because ultimately we have to make all these memorable one, and students should feel coming again. So that opportunity is there, and if you young people, if you will take this further, then definitely there will be much more modifications in this subject, and there will be a real innovation in teaching of the anatomy concern. Thank you very much. I'm really thankful for my students for giving me this opportunity to express my views or this whatever I have gathered for last 30 years. Thank you very much, and all the very best for your coming Akarshan, and I hope this Akarshan will be a grand and mega success, and it will be a historical one. All the best for your grand event. Thank you.
Thank you.